بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to day 3. Today is exciting because today we will be looking at, inshallah, 2 letters together, inshallah, not just the one. The reason we will be going over 2 is because they both come from the same articulation point. Okay, there is actually 3 that come from the same articulation point, but we don't have time for 3. So let's do the 2, inshallah. The 2 letters that we will be covering today, inshallah, will be the letter Tha and the letter Dal. Okay, so let's talk about where they come from first. How do we articulate these letters? They both are produced in a similar fashion. We use the tip of the tongue. Okay, so use the very tip of the tongue again. And for both these letters, the tip of the tongue will touch the same part of the teeth. So your tip of the tongue will touch the teeth. Which teeth is it going to touch? It's the upper 2 front incisors. Okay, it's the upper 2 front incisors. Okay, and it's the bottom edge of them. Okay, so the bottom edge of the 2 front incisors, that's where the tip of the tongue is going to touch. Now the tongue. So essentially, what you're thinking is, what you're trying to achieve is the tongue will stick out a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. When the tongue touches the bottom edge of the upper 2 front teeth, it's a light touch. So you don't press hard. Okay, we got to make it a light touch. So for example, if we're looking at the letter Tha, when we pronounce this with a sukoon, when it is joined with a hamza, we say S, S. And you'll notice that you can hear the breath. Okay, that's why you need to have a light touch. The light touch is there so that Tha, being a letter of hams, this is a letter which has the breath. We allow the breath to pass through the gap between the tip of the tongue and the upper teeth. So if you press the tongue too firmly, you'll struggle to allow the breath to pass through. Okay, so it's a very gentle touch. We say S, S. Tha is also one of those letters that you prolong. So when it has a sukoon on it, like it is here, as shown, we keep it running. We stay on the makhraj and we allow the air to keep passing through. Okay, so we don't say S and stop. We say S, S, S. Okay, so you let the sound keep going for a bit. This is when the Tha is joint only. Okay, Tha is a light letter. And before we go into the examples of Tha, let's go into the letter Dal. So the question is, how can you have 2 letters that are produced in the same way? How do we get them to actually sound different? So we've just talked about the letter Tha and how it's a hams letter, which means that the breath passes through the gap or passes in between the tongue and the upper 2 front teeth. With the letter Dal, it does something a little bit different. So yes, the tongue is still touching the same part of the teeth, and it's still a gentle touch. But this time, instead of relying on your breath to pass through the gap, you're relying on the sound of your voice. Okay, so this time we say el, el. So you should feel a slight vibration on your tongue as you actually pronounce this, because your sound is trying to pass through between the tongue and the teeth. Okay, so let's hear them both again. S, L, S, L. Okay, and both of these letters, just how I mentioned with the Tha, Dal is also a letter that we call Rakhawa, which means you keep it running also. You keep it going. You don't stop and just say L and stop quickly. When it has a sukoon, when it is joint, we keep it running for a bit. We say L, S, L. Okay, let's have a look at them with the haraka. Let's look at the Tha first. When the Tha has a fatha, it's a light letter, just like we've seen in previous sessions. The opening of the mouth, the dropping of the jaw, the slight opening in the vertical and the horizontal position, as we've mentioned in videos 1 and 2. So this is Tha, Tha. When it has a dhamma, the circling of the lips with the gap in the middle. Thu, Thu, Tha, Thu. And when it has a kasra, Thi, making sure you get the E sound. Remember, for all of these letters, it's a light touch of the tongue. You're allowing some of the breath. Tha, Thu, Thi, S. Tha, Thu, Thi, S. Let's have an example of where we find Tha in a word in the Quran. One of those examples is as-sawab. So the tha here is joint. When we say s, we hold it, we prolong it, and then we say the fatha after that. As-sa, as-sawab, as-sawab. Okay. Another example would be the word al-mabthuth. Al-mabthuth. Again, the circling of the lips when we say the dhamma. And when we stop on this last tha, when we say al-mabthuth, that last tha, we're pronouncing sakin. So we stay on it and we prolong it. Al-mabthuth. As-sawab. Al-mabthuth. Okay. Coming to the dal is again a light letter. So far, alhamdulillah, all of the letters that we've seen so far are all light letters. So all the fatha sounds are all going to be very similar in terms of how we open our mouth. Okay. So this time it's not sa, it's the, rely on your voice. The, 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 and at the end you keep it running. An example in the Quran would be, for example, in the word al-dhakirina. Now again, the dhal here is mushaddad, is joint. So we say al, we start off saying al, we keep it running. Just like we said, when this letter is joint, we keep it running first. Then we pronounce the fatha. Al-dhakirina. Another example is with a dhamma, where we circle the lips. Yadhuqu, yadhuqu, al-dhakirina, yadhuqu. Okay? Alhamdulillah. Keep practicing these two. If you need to, record yourself and listen back and see if you can hear the difference between the air and the breath, listening to the breath when you say S, and whether you can hear the sound of your voice running when you say L. May Allah make it easy for you all, and may Allah accept from you. Jazakumullahu khairan. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.